Live from Atlanta, Georgia, on the court and campus of Life University. Welcome to this, the 2017 NABL Championship Series weekend. The North American Basketball League will crown its 2017 champion this weekend. Courtside with you, my name is Ken Buckner, to bring you this doubleheader of action today, this semifinal round, the Final Four of the NABL, to decide who goes into the championship game tomorrow. Thank you for watching here on the NABL network at NABLbasketball.com. Game number one today of this semifinal doubleheader will take place here in just moments. Pre-game festivities and more just about to kick off here at the court and campus of Life University between the Western Conference champions of the NABL, the San Antonio Lions, as they face the West Coast Conference champions, the Kitsap Admirals. Very interesting here on the NA season, most notably win over Western Conference final 2 weeks ago, the DFW United 142 to 128. On the other side of the bench, you have the Kitsap Admirals, the only undefeated team in the NABL, 7-0 in the Western Conference. And though it was a little bit of a squeaker 2 weeks ago in that West Coast Conference final game, as the Quad City Flames, a resurgent Quad City team, really poured it on late into the season, and the Kitsap Admirals nearly came away with a 118 to 113 victory. Head coach Ashley Robinson and his team, a very disciplined team, structured, strategic. Yeah, they know the X's and O's, and you're going to see it today. Now, the one interesting thing about them, they are a traveling team by way of international means is what I'm talking about. They travel to Lithuania. They go to China. They go all over the world. So a cross-country trip, not necessarily the biggest hurdle that the Kitsap Admirals have had to undertake, certainly throughout even this NABL season, their inaugural year in the North American Basketball League. They are led, and their attack begins and ends with Lonnie Pearson, 6'6" forward, but he can play everywhere from the point all the way to center. The NABL newcomer of the year and averaging 34 points on the season. Watch out for Lonnie Pearson wearing the white jersey today and the number 0. He's certainly great on both ends of the floor for Ashley Robinson's Kitsap Admirals. They have a short bench at their disposal, the shortest bench of the 4 teams remaining here in the NABL Championship Series. Ashley Robinson electing to only bring 8 from Bremerton, Washington, just outside the Seattle area, cross country here to Atlanta, Georgia. But as I talked with him earlier, he is not at all concerned about stamina, fatigue, or wear at all with this team. This is a tried and true core, and these are the guys he wants to go to war with today against the San Antonio Lions. We're getting you ready here and ramping up to our national anthem, the starting lineups as well. I want to tell you also, immediately following this game here on the NABL network, right where you're watching this one at NABLbasketball.com, we will have our game number 2 of the semifinal, and that's with the reigning NABL champions, the winners of the Eastern Southern Division, the Atlanta Show, taking on the winners of the Eastern Northern Division, the Huntsville Force. That game is coming up immediately, as I said, following the conclusion of the San Antonio Lions and the Kitsap Admirals here on the NABL network. Also, tomorrow, the final 2 that get through into the championship series game, well, that will take place at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, or if you're way out there in Bremerton, Washington, home of the Kitsap Admirals, 10 a.m. Pacific. Mountains stuck in there some between. In Hawaii, you're just going to have to figure it out on your own because we have enough stats to throw around here. As we count down the moments on the NABL Championship Series pre-game show, we get you ready for the national anthem, the starting lineups, and game number 1 of this doubleheader of action here from the court of Life University, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in Marietta. The horn sounds, and we now go to our public address announcer. Well, that just so happens to be me.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome here to the court and campus of Life University, the site of this 2017 NABL North American Basketball League Championship Series weekend. A doubleheader today for you with game number 1 just about to tip off between the Kitsap Admirals and the San Antonio Lions. Following the conclusion of this contest, it will be game number 2, the Atlanta Show taking on the Huntsville Force, and tomorrow, the NABL Championship Series Final, where we will crown the 2017 champ, will take place here at Life University on this very court at 1 p.m. scheduled tip-off time. Today's game is being played under the rules and regulation as sanctioned by the NABL front office and the president of NABL officials, Emmanuel Burrell. Any footage, photos, and use of the events during today's game strictly prohibited without the express written consent of the NABL front office and Commissioner C. Travis Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask you to please rise. Gentlemen, remove your hats as we honor America with a performance of our national anthem. Starting lineups. Here are the starting 5 for the champions of the NABL West Coast Conference. Coming in with a record of 7-0 undefeated on the season, the Kitsap Admirals. Starting at point guard, at 6'4" from Evergreen University, number 13, Marcus Whitaker. At shooting guard, at 6'2", from Robert Morris University, number 28, Dejan Newton. At small forward, at 6'7", out of the University of Hawaii, number 2, Jeff Perkins. At center, at 6'7", out of Western Washington, number 40, Blue. At 6'7" from the University of Arizona, the NABL 2017 Newcomer of the Year, number 0, Lonnie Pearson. The head coach of the Kitsap Admirals is Ashley Robinson. And now, here are the starting 5 for the NABL Western Conference champions, the 12-2 San Antonio Lions. Starting at guard, at 5'10", from the incarnate word of San Antonio, Texas, number 14, Eric Nuncio. At guard, at 6'3" from Midland College, number 7, Brian Evans. At 4, at 6'3" from Queens College, number 21, Brandon Nichols. At center, at 6'8", from Hill College, number 28, Big Ben Conwell. And at point guard, at 6'3", from the incarnate word of San Antonio, Texas, NABL MVP candidate, number 22, Eric Stewart. The head coach of the San Antonio Lions is TC Gabriel.
Well, the starting lineups for both the San Antonio Lions and the Kitsap Admirals have been announced, and we are just about ready for game number 1 of this doubleheader today of the semifinal round of the NABL 2017 Championship Series. Once again, courtside with you, Ken Buckner, here to bring you this. Between the Admirals and the Lions in the center circle and getting ready for the tip-off, it will be the 6'8" Ben Conwell of the San Antonio Lions. And for the Kitsap Admirals, the 6'7" Luke Henney. The Lions wearing their black uniforms with Lions written in red, script underscored on their jerseys across their chest, and yellow numbers. The Kitsap Admirals in their white uniforms with black trim. The ball tossed up in the air, and it's tipped by Luke Henney, and the Kitsap Admirals have the first possession. We are underway here in Atlanta, Georgia in the 2017 NABL Championship Series, live on the NABL Network. Luke Henney from the right wing thinks better of it. Tosses it to the point to Sean Newton. Down low to Lonnie Pearson, but good defense and knocked away by Brandon Nichols. Ball goes out of bounds. The Admirals will retain possession with 7 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Deshaun Newton looking to inbound. Long skip pass to Luke Henney. Luke Henney drives to the left side of the lane, puts up a J off the back iron, no good. And rebound by Brian Evans, who had 46 points in the conference championship game 2 weekends ago over the DFW United. Eric Stewart kicks it out to Eric Nuncio inside the stripe, no good off the inside of the rim, and rebounded by Jeff Perkins. And the Admirals working left to right on your screen. Take the shot, and that is tipped by Brandon Nichols. Already 2 huge defensive plays by San Antonio. We talked about that stepped up defense by the Lions. All alone, left to his own devices, but he can't capitalize as Brian Evans. And picking off the rebound is Jeff Perkins. The NABL blue and white ball, as you can see, lofting it up for Lonnie Pearson, the newcomer of the year, but just a little short on the alley-oop attempt. Eric Nuncio, no-look pass to Ben Conwell, and it was a little too much of a no-look as Lonnie Pearson right now on a 2-on-1. Little volleyball back and forth, and neither team right now can score a bucket with 10:43 remaining in the opening quarter. Brandon Nichols, a little stutter step through the lane, can't get that to fall. Finally going in, Ben Conwell scores the first points of this NABL Championship Series. 10:26 remains in the first quarter. Deshaun Newton, ball poked away out of his hands by Eric Stewart. Luke Henney comes up with it, tosses it far side to Jeff Perkins. Perkins jacks up a 3, no good off the front of the rim, rebound by Conwell, and back come the Lions. Lions 12-2 on the season. We talked about that added defense, yes, but also the play of that man right there off the mark with the 3-point attempt is Eric Stewart, 3-time NABL Player of the Week so far this season, and has really stepped up his game. Turnaround through the lane, Jeff Perkins, no good. Luke Henney can't pop it in, and the Kitsap Admirals cannot get anything to fall right now for Ashley Robinson's squad. 2-0 in the early goings here from Atlanta, Georgia. Brian Evans underneath the basket. He spins it off the glass, and it kisses off the square and in. Brian Evans' first bucket in San Antonio right now, 4-0 on the Kitsap Admirals. Might seem significant at first, as storming through the lane is Newton. Kicks it out to Marcus Whitaker. He jacks it up from 15, no good. Ball battled around, loose on the floor, picked up by Eric Nuncio. And a spring in the step for the San Antonio Lions, and we're seeing somewhat of a measured approach by the Kitsap Admirals, who are working with that short bench. Beautiful move by Eric Nuncio, and can't get the slam, but he gets his own rebound. Ben Conwell kicks it over to Brian Evans. That won't fall. And Evans can't get it to go. Well, both these teams, San Antonio had to travel halfway across the country. Kitsap had to come all the way from Bremerton, Washington, as the ball's poked away by Brandon Nichols. Left loose on the floor and picked up by the Admirals. Over to Deshaun Newton. Gets it to Lonnie Pearson in the post. Kicks it out far side. Marcus Whitaker short on the three. Rebound by Luke Kinney. Luke Kinney thinks of his shot. Now goes back left wing. No good on the shot, and our first whistle of the game, and that will be on San Antonio. Eric Stewart picks up his first. First foul on Eric Stewart and first team foul of the game for San Antonio. Your NABL officials today: Don Hudson, Tommy Paris, and Archie Whaley. Deshaun Newton notches the first point of the afternoon for the Kitsap Admirals. 4-1 your score currently at this time. 8:31 remaining in the first quarter of play. Newton's second attempt. This goes off the front of the rim, backboard and in. And halves the lead by the San Antonio Lions. 8.5 left to go in the opening frame. 4-2, the Lions lead. Eric Nuncio on the right wing, running the point. Kicks it over in between the circles, working it clockwise around to Brandon Nichols. Back to Eric Stewart. Had the shot, but he didn't take it. Loses the ball and picked up by Deshaun Newton. Newton, left side of the lane, is going to try to take it all the way. Puts up a prayer. It was not answered from above. And rebound by the Lions, Brandon Nichols. A 3-on-3 for the Lions. Driving the lane, but kicking it out to Eric Stewart to Nichols. Far side, skip pass to Evans. Nuncio all alone, corner three, baseline, in and out. How did that not fall? Oh, my. Still 4-2 with 7:50 remaining in the first quarter. Near side to Jeff Perkins, and a whistle away from the play. And it's on the Kitsap Admirals, and the first for Jeff Perkins. Both teams playing a disciplined, measured approach, but just getting the shots, getting the looks, but just not getting the buckets to fall. And a whistle as the shot clock will be reset. And San Antonio will, I believe, get a fresh shot clock. No, 22 seconds on the shot clock. 7:41 remaining on the game clock in the first quarter. Conwell inbounds to Eric Nuncio. Nuncio in between the circles, working it around Eric Stewart, now to Brian Evans. Evans right wing to Conwell. Conwell, 6'8". Good defense by Lonnie Pearson, who can work both ends of the floor. Ends up with a steal off of Eric Stewart. Marcus Whitaker, long skip pass to the near side to Deshaun Newton. Newton puts up a 20-footer, and that one falls for Newton. Well, all knotted up after all that. At 4 apiece. And just a few ticks over 7 minutes remaining here in the first. Eric Stewart to Brian Evans. Evans backs out. He'll try it for three. Inside of the rim, right side, no good, and out of bounds. Kitsap Admirals ball. Well, Ashley Robinson, as we said, working with the shortest bench in all of the 4 teams in this NABL Championship Series, electing to bring only 8 players, but this is his core 8 players that he travels literally all over the world with. The Admirals go to the Baltic states in Europe, as Deshaun Newton puts up another shot, and now the Admirals lead 6-4 with 6:44 remaining in the first. They have another scheduled international trip to China coming up here in August, actually. And a foul underneath the basket. Doesn't get the bucket, but he gets the whistle. And Lonnie Pearson will earn his first. Second team foul for the Admirals. And that sends Brandon Nichols to the line for the first free throws of the game for the Lions. 6-4. San Antonio with the lead. Brandon Nichols Spins the first one in. And our first substitution of the game, and it is the Kitsap Admirals bringing in Gabe Gibbs, the 6'6". Well, call him forward center guard for Ashley Robinson. His shortest player is Deshaun Newton, 6'2". Lots of size on the Admirals side as Nichols rattles home his second. And it ties things back up at 6 apiece. 6.5 remaining in the first quarter. And illegal defense. 3 seconds in the key. So illegal defense on San Antonio, and it's been a slight problem for them throughout this season. Deshaun Newton short on the technical. So giving the Lions a bit of a gift. Admirals with the ball inbound. Newton left wing. Pick and screen set by Gabe Gibbs, and ball just flat out goes out of bounds off the hands of Deshaun Newton. Conwell inbounds, and Eric Stewart will run it up the floor. 6:15 remaining in the first quarter. Eric Stewart, nifty little move, spins to his right side. Oh my, and the foul, count it, for Eric Stewart. Woo. As Luke Kenny was whistled for his first. Third team foul of the quarter for the Kitsap Admirals. And that will send getting in some fouls, playing a little, allowing DFW to inch back in. It came as close as being decided by a bucket. And then in the later stages, San Antonio, well, as they will so frequently do, jettisoned away from the DFW United, ultimately 142 to 128. It was a close contest as well, too, in the West Coast Conference Championship game 2 weekends ago. A resurgent, renewed, and honestly finally healthy on their roster for the first time all season. Quad City Flames all of a sudden caught fire and gave Kitsap all that they wanted to handle in that contest. Ultimately, falling short, though, in the Quad City comeback bid. And Kitsap wins that game 118 to 113 to give them their spot here in the NABL Final Four Championship Series. Well, after the timeout on the floor, it'll be the Admirals' ball, and inbounding Marcus Whitaker to Jeff Perkins. Perkins will take it across the timeline. Perkins, right side to Whitaker. Whitaker on the right wing. Stutter step to the left, now takes it to the left, over to Jeff Perkins once again. San Antonio forming a perimeter right now, and a travel called on Mike Ward. And another unforced error for Ashley Robinson's team, as we see both coaches very composed at this point. Nichols, and Nichols floats it in. Nichols has 4 in this first quarter, and a 4-point lead for San Antonio. A push off that draws the whistle. Gabe Gibbs. And the first offensive. Oh, pardon me. That was on San Antonio. So we take that away from Gibbs, and we'll wait for clarification on who that ultimately was on. Meanwhile, underneath the basket, Gabe Gibbs goes to work, and he loops it in. As we reset the shot clock, once again, your NABL officials, Don Hudson, Tommy Pierce, and Archie Whaley, under the tutelage and direction of the president of NABL officials, Emmanuel Burrell. Eric Nuncio. Eric Stewart, who takes the shot from inside the arc, no good, off the left side of the rim. Rebound by Jeff Perkins. Perkins loops it over to Gabe Gibbs. Gibbs takes the shot from 18, and Gibbs right now is starting to catch fire. Just a little simmering for the Kitsap Admirals, and we're knotted up at a dozen apiece, just inside of 4 to go in the first quarter. Brandon Nichols being guarded by Mike Ward. Nichols tries to drive the lane. Mike Ward, great defense, but he feeds it to Brian Evans, and Evans cannot get the shot to fall, but he falls instead, and the whistle blows. And Gabe Gibbs, there is his first personal of the game. 4th team foul for the Kitsap Admirals. 2 for San Antonio, and count the first one in for Brandon Nichols, who's now 3 for 3 from the charity stripe today. Nichols, as we said 2 weeks ago, 46 points in the win over the United. As Nichols remains perfect from the line and gives the Lions the lead once again. Neither team pulling away in this opening frame. 14-12. San Antonio. Near side to Sean Newton. To the left, being guarded by Eric Nuncio. Kicks it over. Whitaker for 3 off the back iron. No good. High rebound by Ben Conwell. Floating it in. That's Eric Stewart going to work there. And holding him at the line. Waiting to see how this is called. As the very unusually vocal Eric Nuncio is that would be Marcus Whitaker for Kitsap, and I believe that's going to be a flagrant on Marcus Whitaker, his first. Eric Nuncio takes the shot. With 1 to go. And as you can see there on the replay, yeah, that was just simply Marcus Whitaker trying to keep Eric Nuncio from a fast break, as Nuncio is no good on his second. So 17-12. Eric Nuncio, we're going to get the scoring corrected on your screen. And a timeout on the floor. Charge to San Antonio. We'll step aside for a moment here with 2:58 remaining in the first quarter of action. 17-12, the Lions lead the Kitsap Admirals. Back here in a moment on the NABL Network. To 12, the San Antonio Lions lead the Kitsap Admirals. Courtside with you, Ken Buckner, here on the NABL Network. Game number 1 of this doubleheader of NABL Championship Series semifinal action. Game number 2 coming up at the conclusion of this contest between the Atlanta Show and the Huntsville Force. Admirals with the ball, bounce down low to Deshaun Newton. Newton looking for somewhere to go down the lane, but nobody was there. Turns around, takes the jumper himself, short on the shot. Good defense and rebounding by the San Antonio Lions and Ben Conwell. Nuncio kicks it to Eric Stewart, who goes right side to Brandon Nichols. The starters have played the entirety of this quarter for San Antonio. And stepping out of bounds was Brandon Nichols to cough the ball up to the Admirals. Kitsap back on the charge, and Jeff Perkins lofts up a two-pointer that falls from just inside the arc. 17-14, Kitsap trails by 3. San Antonio, Eric Stewart backs out, Good defense by Gabe Gibbs. Turns around, spins, splits the defense around and out. Rebound by Kitsap. And here come the Admirals the other way. Moving the ball quickly now with a little pep in their step after the timeout. Beautiful steal by Eric Stewart. Coming back the other way on 3-on-1. Slam with the one hand by Brandon Nichols. And Nichols has 8 leading scorers so far in this game, in this quarter. Ward knocks up a 3 from right wing, I believe. Brandon Nichols got a hand on that, and he goes quickly to the fast break, dishes it right back to Brian Evans. And watch out, because this is what the San Antonio Lions will do to you. Now up by 7 with 1:31 remaining here in the first quarter of action. Ashley Robinson says that's enough of that, and we're going to take a timeout on the floor. We'll stick with our coverage here at NABLbasketball.com. There's Brandon Nichols, boom, shakalaka. A little NBA Jam type action on that NABL slam dunk here in the championship series. Beautiful passing by the San Antonio Lions as they've really stepped up their game. Both of these squads, though it is Kitsap's first year in the North American Basketball League, and it's the second year for the San Antonio Lions, also second year as a franchise, these collections of players have played together on the court for years together, to the point to where, yeah, they pretty much will read each other's minds on there. And you see Ashley Robinson trying to get his troops to not only catch their breath, but to catch up here with the San Antonio Lions, who are a streaky team at times, and normally that can be used as a negative connotation. But they are far hotter than they ever run cold on the San Antonio end. So when that streak starts, it's hard to stop. A little bit of a press defense by Eric Nuncio. Looping into Jeff Perkins. Trailing by 7. Perkins kicks it out to the far side and works it around. Whitaker, Marcus Whitaker, nice little dump-off pass, but a beautiful slap away by Eric Stewart. San Antonio came to play today. Brandon Nichols up and over. Yep. And taking slight offense to it is T.C. Cavill, the head coach of the San Antonio Lions, who've been coached. It's been interesting this year, the coaching situation for the Lions. It's been coached at times by Vince Reynosa, by Mark Denkwalter, who's no doubt watching right now here at NABLbasketball.com, part owner of the Lions. But longtime San Antonio area coach T.C. Cavill is at the helm today for the Lions. Checking back in for the Admirals, Luke Henney, the 6'7" center. Still trailing by 7. With 1:05 remaining left in the first quarter. 1 minute. Errant on the shots, and the ball goes off the baseline and out. Kitsap retains possession. And a fresh shot clock with 54 ticks remaining on the clock. Inbound to Gabe Gibbs. Gibbs spins around to his left side, and he's fouled on the way to the basket by Ben Conwell. Conwell's first, third team foul for the San Antonio Lions, and it doesn't look like at this point either team will head to the bonus. Kitsap playing with 4 team fouls at this point. Gabe Gibbs, first shot well short off the front iron. And that one does find its way through the nets. And it trims the lead to 6. 21-15, San Antonio. 42 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Brian Evans trying to work his way in. Luke Henney comes out to guard. Brian Evans moves his way around, throws up a floater, and that is what he did all Western Conference final long, are those rainbows. 8 points of the contest by Evans, and a whistle as Deshaun Newton made his way down the lane. I believe that's called on Brandon Nichols, but we'll wait for some clarification. Meanwhile, Deshaun Newton sinks his first. And Kitsap, since that timeout, has went on a 5-2 run. Now a 6-2 run. 23-17. 20 ticks remaining in the first quarter. San Antonio with the ball. Shot clock is dead. They will hold. Well, no, they won't. Eric Nunzio wanted it, but Luke Kinney, who had about a foot on him, shoved it away. Now ball knocked out of the hands by Perkins. And an excellent defensive effort once again by Eric Stewart. Three-time NABL Player of the Week in 2017. And do it 2 times in 2016. Inbound with 5 seconds left on the clock. Turnaround jumper off the back iron, no good. Punched out by Luke Kinney, and that will do it for the conclusion of the first. After one and headed to the second, 23-17, the San Antonio Lions lead the Kitsap Admirals. We'll be back here in just a moment for the start of the second quarter of action on the NABL Network. Well, a measured approach by both teams. 23-17 after the first quarter of action. You're seeing some of the highlights from that first quarter. Leading scorer for the Kitsap Admirals with 8 points was Deshaun Newton. Gabe Gibbs chipped in with 5 points, rather. 8 points for Brian Evans of the San Antonio Lions, and Brandon Nichols led all with 10. Eric Stewart with 4. Back underway, and the one-handed jam by Brian Evans. He's got 10 now. 25-17, and a reset of the shot clock, I believe, is with the whistle, as these NABL officials that you can see wearing their patented black and blue uniforms. Sometimes it's a bit of imagery at times that black and blue wearing uniforms. So resetting the shot clock and getting that right. Again, our trio of officials here in the NABL: Don Hudson, Tommy Paris, and Archie Whaley. The NABL Officials Union formed prior to the beginning of this 2017 season, the second year of the North American Basketball League, and under the direction of President of Officials, Emmanuel Burrell. Of course, the commissioner of the NABL, C. Travis Johnson, in attendance. Luke Kinney down low, drives to his left side off the square, can't get the bucket to fall, but he gets the foul and is heading to the line for his first trip today. I believe that's Brian Evans' second foul. First team foul for San Antonio as Kinney notches his first point. Checking back in for the Admirals, the NABL 2017 Newcomer of the Year, Lonnie Pearson, with 1 to shoot for Henny. And it falls. 6-point lead for the Lions, with 11.5 remaining in the first half of action. The winner moves on to the NABL Finals. Eric Stewart in the lane. Can't get it to fall, but the big man makes it Tennessee Lewis, Michon Lewis. And the alley-oop, way too much juice from Deshaun Newton. As we see the handiwork of Michon Lewis doing his thing underneath the basket. Ball and count the foul. And Vince Reynosa, who has checked in, has just earned his first second team foul for the Lions in this quarter. And Gibbs have 7 in the first half so far, trying to make it 8. Trying to trim this lead to 5. He does. Does exactly that, kicks it out, giving up a massive height advantage to Lonnie Pearson. Over to Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons left wing. Fadeaway J, too much juice on that as well. And a long cross-court pass to Deshaun Newton for his 10th point of the ball game. And all of a sudden the Admirals are within a possession. 27-24, San Antonio leads. Eric Stewart, who's played the entirety of this game so far, drives the lane, and the charged to Eric Stewart. His second personal. And even 10 left to go in the first half. And more importantly, that gives Kitsap the ball. Luke Kenny down the low post. Kicks it out to Mike Ward. Ward with excellent defense, smothering defense by Eric Stewart. Finally finds Gabe Gibbs. Gibbs, right side of the lane this time, and lofts it in. What touch from the basket. Gabe Gibbs is starting to take this up. Pardon the interruption here. Back underway in Atlanta, Georgia in this championship series semifinal. The San Antonio Lions have come back, but only narrowly. Well, that comeback has just been snuffed out. 34-33. The Kitsap Admirals lead the San Antonio Lions. And a whistle away from the play. San Antonio retains possession. Some excellent defense being displayed by these two clubs with 6:04 remaining in the first half. Vince Reynosa running the point. He'll jack up a 3. Off the back iron, no good. Rebound, Lonnie Pearson, and fouled by Vince Reynosa on the rebound. And that is Reynosa's second foul. Third team foul of the quarter and a timeout on the floor. A reminder that coming up after this game will be game number 2 of our semifinal doubleheader here in the NABL Championship Series. Day number 1 of this championship weekend of the North American Basketball League. The Eastern Conference Northern champions, the Huntsville Force, will take on the Southern champions of the Eastern Conference and the reigning NABL champs, the Atlanta Show. That game a rematch of the back and forth affair that has been the saga and the new rivalry between Justin Billings' Huntsville Force and David Kessler's Atlanta Show. In fact, the Atlanta Show began their season on the road in Huntsville and came away with a decisive win. It was 2 months later, and the end of May, that Huntsville went into Atlanta and came away with a 113-111 victory, the first and only loss that the Atlanta Show has ever suffered as a franchise. So One team, the Huntsville Force, certainly wants to repeat what was the unthinkable at that time. And Atlanta wants to get a little revenge and erase that. That game coming up, scheduled 3 p.m. Eastern Time start. But if this game goes long, certainly it'll be about 15 minutes after the final horn sounds here at Life University in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, tomorrow the final will be at 1 p.m. Eastern right here at NABLbasketball.com. As we stand in this one, though, Kitsap leads by a point, 34-33 with the lead and the ball, and just under 6 left to go in the second quarter. Marcus Whitaker to his right side, screen set by Pearson. Ball squirts away, and trying to salvage it from going out of bounds was Brandon Nichols, but instead gives it to Kitsap. Pearson feeds it down low to Luke Kenny. Luke Kenny to his left on the fadeaway, off the iron, up and in and out. Oh my! You almost got to give him half a point for that. Jeez. Brandon Nichols back the other way. He backs it out. Right side to Eric Nuncio. 5.5 left to go in the second quarter. Eric Stewart, left side of the lane. Good defense by the Kitsap Admirals. Brian Evans sneaks his way in. There's the big man, but stuffed away by a bigger one, Luke Kenny. Oh my. Coming back the other way is Jeff Perkins, and with the ball basically losing the handle on it, ends up traveling in the process. And there you see Michon Lewis, 6'8", being stuffed by 6'7" Luke Kenny. It's a very springy court here at Life University. And Missouri Lewis, no good on his jump shot from the free throw line. Even 5 left to go in the first half. Still remains a rather low-scoring affair, and that's a little bit surprising. First of all, low scoring and San Antonio are not synonymous with one another. As Lonnie Pearson just a little off the mark. Eric Stewart with the rebound. Right side works his way around the competition that was Jeff Perkins. And Eric Stewart has his 6th point of the game. Feeding it down low, turn it around. Gibbs, no good. Rebound by Perkins, and Perkins puts it in. 4:20 left to go and ticking in the second quarter. Eric Stewart, no good. Rebound, Luke Kenny. And back come the Admirals. Two-handed pass to the right side to Perkins. Underneath, but a nice defensive poked away by Eric Nuncio. Ball goes out of bounds. It'll remain in the possession of Kitsap. As checking back in for the Admirals, Mike Ward. And Ben Conwell comes in for Michon Lewis. Working his way in, turn around with the J, and sinks it. Nothing but net. That's a pretty shot by Jeff Perkins. Back to a 3-point lead for the Admirals, who fought their way back in this one. And driving in, ball knocked away out of the hands of Eric Stewart. That courtesy of Mike Ward. Ashley Robinson, you maybe can hear his voice, barking out the orders from the Admirals bench. Brandon Nichols near side. Bounce pass down low to Conwell. Conwell turns around, and another stuff by Luke Kenny. Two-handed long pass by Pearson, and it's a beaut, but cannot finish as Jeff Perkins. And to use Vern Lundquist's line, he has to be the sickest man in America right now. Oh, the assist that would have been. It remains a 3-point Kitsap lead, and left all alone trying to spin his way and putting a little too much English on that ball was Eric Stewart. Now in transition, ball coughed up twice, back into the hands of the Lions, and a 2-on-1. And there it is, the put in by Ben Conwell. 3 minutes left to go in the second quarter. 38-37, Kitsap. Lonnie Pearson loses the handle, recollects the ball, gets it over to Luke Kenny. Now to Perkins. Perkins on the right wing. Wants to drive in, gets the double team. Left all alone is Marcus Whitaker, and in one fell swoop in motion, Whitaker knocks down the tray. His first points of the game come, that may be the most interesting three-pointer I've ever seen in my life. Brandon Nichols short on the shot, left side of the rim. Lions with the rebound, and a whistle blows. Shot clock reset and immediate timeout on the floor. Coming up at halftime, we will talk to the head coaches of both squads of Game 2, and that is Atlanta's David Kessler and the NABL Coach of the Year, Justin Billings. That coming up here at halftime. We step aside for now, though. 2:29 left to go in the second quarter of action. 41-37, Kitsap leads San Antonio on the NABL network. Kitsap with the lead as they trailed at the beginning part of this quarter. 2.5 remaining in the second. San Antonio with the ball. Down by 4. Eric Nuncio. Bounce pass left side, almost picked away out of the hands of Eric Stewart. He collects it. Mike Ward defending. Eric Stewart works his way around and earns a trip to the free throw line. That is Mike Ward's first personal. And Eric Stewart heads back to the stripe. 0 for 1 today from the free throw line. Spins the ball, right-handed shooter, and that one off the front of the rim and in for Stewart, who has 7 points and was NABL MVP candidate this season, averaging 32 points a game. But really, it's where his defense he's worked on this year that has been the difference maker for San Antonio. Long pass from Pearson once again to Ward. He's short on the shot. Those beautiful feeds by Lonnie Pearson are going to waste for the Admirals in this 2-point contest. Brian Evans looking for somewhere to go. Instead, he finds Eric Stewart. This is a long 3. No good. That was halfway to Florida. And Mike Ward on the left wing for the Admirals. Lonnie Pearson quickly feeds it to the near side. Marcus Whitaker for 3. This one falls. Count it for Whitaker. His second 3-ball of the game. And back to a 5-point advantage for Kitsap. 1:38 remains in the second quarter of action. Brandon Nichols, fadeaway J. And Nichols has a dozen. Far side, Whitaker tries again for 3. Wants a whistle and a foul on that. Doesn't get it, but caught nothing but air. And back come the Lions. Brandon Nichols, right side, stopped by Lonnie Pearson, the NABL's newcomer of the year, but Brandon Nichols ends back up with it. He takes the shot off the back iron when he can't find an outlet, and instead it's rebounded by Jeff Perkins. Coming back quickly the other way. 1 minute remaining in the first half. Perkins puts up a prayer, and he gets some sort of answer in the form of a whistle. And that's Brian Evans, who picked up his 3rd foul to send Jeff Perkins to the line, who is 2 for 2 from the stripe today. Well, now 2 for 3. The NABL's second season as a league has doubled its size after its first inaugural year from its 8 charter teams to 19 total. Perkins good on his second. Kitsap Admirals, one of those expansion teams, as the entire West Coast Conference was a new footprint for the NABL. And driving the lane, the whistle blows, and Eric Stewart will head to the line. And Jeff Perkins returns the favor in his 3rd personal. So Eric Stewart back to the stripe with 49.6 seconds remaining in the second quarter. And Stewart gets this one. As Don Hudson heads over to the scoring table to get a little clarification and holds the thumb up saying, yep, we're good. 45-42 Kitsap at this point. Eric Stewart spins the ball twice and lofts it. Short. Rebound by Henney. 45 ticks remain in the second quarter. Marcus Whitaker, pardon me, that's Ward. Turnaround, pivots from his left foot. Nice move, but can't finish. Rebound by Pearson, who is just meleeed underneath the basket. And that courtesy of Ben Conwell, who has earned his second personal. Stops the clock with 33.8 seconds remaining in the second. And Lonnie Pearson heads to the free throw line for his first buckets of the game. Yes. Lonnie Pearson, 6'6", and I have to say, from a media standpoint, extremely reclusive. Rather bashful, actually. It's really impossible to get it's nearly impossible, I'll say, to get an interview with Lonnie Pearson. 30 seconds remain. 47-42 Kitsap. San Antonio with the ball, trying to claw their way back from this 5-point deficit. Brandon Nichols under the basket. Beautiful, lofting, high, arcing, fadeaway shot. Oh, my. So Brandon Nichols with 14 in this contest. 47-44. Kitsap with a lead. And the ball. 19 seconds even left to go in the second. Clock starts. Mike Ward, guarded by Eric Stewart, takes it across the timeline. A dozen seconds remain. Shot clock is dead. Lonnie Pearson, left wing. Lonnie Pearson holding for the final shot. Takes that shot from the left side and drains the bucket. Lonnie Pearson starting to come to life. And the ball goes out of bounds, well, after the bucket with 2 seconds remaining. Adding now a second to the clock. 3 seconds. Eric Stewart's going to have a chance, and then some. A floating, running rainbow. That, count the basket, falls. What a play by San Antonio to give them a little motivation at the end of the first half. And after two, as the scoreboard catches up with the great exploits, it is 49-46 after two. 49-46, the Kitsap Admirals go into the intermission leading the San Antonio Lions. Take a brief timeout. We will be back here with you in just a moment here on the NABL Network with our interviews with David Kessler of Atlanta and Justin Billings of Huntsville, plus our scoring summary and second half outlook. And we will preview, if time allots, the upcoming game number 2. That all ahead here at NABLbasketball.com. And welcome back to halftime here at Life University in the 2017 NABL Championship Series. Ken Buckner here giving you the call today. At the break, 49-46, the Kitsap Admirals lead the San Antonio Lions. This, of course, game number 1 of our doubleheader of action today in the NABL Championship Series semifinal round, with the finals game taking place at 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, here on the NABL network. I'm joined here at halftime by the head coach of the Atlanta show, and that is head coach David Kessler. And Coach Kessler, your game coming up here against the Huntsville Force will tip off. You're half away from the, this marking the return of the championship series. First of all, looking back at this season to this point, and your emotions going in to the semifinal matchup against Huntsville.
Well, we feel good. You know, had another great season. You know, this is kind of the rubber match against Huntsville, and you know, a chance to move on to the championship game. And you know, we feel good about where we're at, and the guys are excited and ready to play.
Yeah. Now, this has been your home court for your last year inaugural season, and this year as well too. How big of an advantage is having the home team, the home support, and the home court and familiar surroundings? Hey, they got to sleep in their own beds last night.
Exactly. I think that point right there is a big advantage in itself. But the home court also, I feel like will be a, you know, as you said, this is our home court, and we're used to these rims and that sort of thing, and we hope to use it to our advantage.
And here with David Kessler, the head coach of the Atlanta show, here at halftime between Kitsap and San Antonio. 49-46, the Admirals lead the Lions here at halftime. And talking about the game coming up, Atlanta and Huntsville. All right, as you said, it's the rubber game in this matchup. And I know you love when I bring it up, but you know, the only loss that the Atlanta show has ever suffered has come at the hands of this team that you just so happen to face off against in the semifinals to get through into the finals. They've really stepped up in their 10 wins, 10 consecutive wins for Huntsville, and really doing the last several with a lot of defense. It's really been the MO for Justin Billings. How do you break through that forced defense, and how do you get your MVP of the league, Bernard Parks, really rolling, and, of course, that tremendous depth that the show always brings?
Right. Well, you know, we just plan to play our game, you know, and that's up-tempo and getting a lot of shots up, and you know, we feel like we've been successful with that for a couple years now, and you know, we feel like we'll continue to do that in this championship series.
We cannot wait for it. It's also the neat little, there's a lot of asterisks and little wrinkles in the neat narratives throughout this one coming up between Atlanta and Huntsville. You have last year's NABL Coach of the Year squaring off against 2017's Coach of the Year as well too. So it's going to be a great one to watch. That one coming up 3 p.m. Eastern scheduled tip-off time. We're about 15 minutes after the final horn sounds in this one between the Kitsap Admirals and the San Antonio Lions. Coach Kessler, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Ken. Always a pleasure being with you.
There you go. Be looking for him on the sidelines coaching the Atlanta show against Huntsville in just a half of basketball. 49-46, the Admirals lead at the break, the San Antonio Lions. We'll take a quick timeout and be back here for more, including our scoring summary and our second half outlook on the way here on the NABL network. Welcome back to the NABL Championship Series weekend here at NABLbasketball.com on the NABL Network. Ken Buckner, and I am joined now here at the break. 49-46, Kitsap leading San Antonio in game number 1 for the head coach that you'll see in game number 2, taking on the Atlanta show, the head coach of the Huntsville Force, Justin Billings. Justin, certainly appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, tell us your mindset, your feelings, and your team's overall emotions going into this matchup that's only a half away against Atlanta.
It's a big weekend. I think the guys are ready. Had a pretty good talk, pretty good stretch this morning. Guys are feeling pretty confident, so I think we're ready to play.
Now, the health of your squad, we talked a little bit about Jay Sears early in the week on the backcourt on the NABL network, you may have saw. An update on his status, because early in the week it was questionable.
Yes, sir. Well, he's not going to be able to go today.
Gotcha.
His injury is just not worth pushing it, so we're going to let him sit this one out, and hopefully we'll have him back next season.
Well, and you say hopefully, but in this game as well, too, coming up, you only have to look back to the NABL Eastern Northern Divisional Final 2 weeks ago, where you locked down the Southern Illinois Pharaohs in that win in a defensive effort. And really, defense has been your MO since taking over the Huntsville Force 11 games ago, subsequently seeing that 10-game winning streak in the process. Is that where you're going to hang your hat today on defense once again?
Yes, sir, without a doubt. I know they have great players, so we definitely got to make Parks earn every single thing. Montgomery, he's a great player. We have to make him earn it, and hey, we're gonna try to hold these guys under 100 points.
And it couldn't be more different from this contest, where Kitsap and San Antonio have never seen each other on the court, never played each other. This is the newest, hottest rivalry in the NABL, the Force and the Atlanta show. How do you recreate what went down on this court in this town at the end of May? How do you beat the Atlanta show again?
Like I say, there's only one thing to say. We got one game plan. Just make everything tough for them. That's it. Keep a lot of pressure on those guys and just make them make tough shots. We got some guys that are accepting the challenge on defense. They're going to put 110% into it. And, hey, I think they're ready.
Well, and congratulations to you, too. We're going to do a presentation before the game to officially hand over the trophy. But your thoughts and your emotions on being named the 2017 NABL Coach of the Year?
It's a blessing. Like I say, I'm just truly blessed. But I can't take any of the credit. Those guys, they make me look good, make me look way better than what I actually am. I give them a little bit of the game plan, and they go out there and execute it. So I get to give all credit to those guys.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it.
Sir.
The show and the Force coming up right at the conclusion of this one. At the break, 49-46, Kitsap leads the San Antonio Lions. The second half of action coming up in just moments. We will continue with our scoring summary and more analysis here on the NABL Championship Series halftime show. Coach Billings, really appreciate the time.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll be back after this on the NABL Network. And welcome back. You're looking at some of the stellar moments from the first half of action. And as we wind down the NABL Championship Series halftime show of this game number 1 of the semifinal action here in Atlanta, Georgia, 49-46, the Kitsap Admirals, who had trailed at the beginning of the second quarter by San Antonio, have fought their way back to lead going into the third quarter of action. Ken Buckner with you here live from the court and campus of Life University. And the horn sounds, and your leading scores from the first half of action. For Kitsap with 14 points, Gabe Gibbs. 10 points for Deshaun Newton, the starting point guard. 9 for Jeff Perkins. And Lonnie Pearson, the NABL's newcomer of the year, with 6. Leading scores for the San Antonio Lions. Brandon Nichols chimes in with 14 to lead all Lions. 11 for Eric Stewart. And 10 for Bryant Evans. Well, we have 2 in the books, and we're 1/2 away from the first team to be officially placed into the NABL Championship final game. That game, once again, taking place tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're back underway here in Atlanta, Georgia, as the San Antonio Lions down by 3, trying to tie it up right off the bat by Eric Nuncio. No good, and rebound by Jeff Perkins. Perkins long pass to Luke Henney. Gets a handle on it. Stuffed underneath on his way up by Ben Conwell, but it still falls in, and Luke Henney has his 4th point of the contest and first field goal. Brian Nichols tosses to Eric Stewart to his left side. Stewart for 3. Off the back iron, no good. Conwell with a rebound. Brian Evans works it to his right to Eric Nuncio. Nuncio being guarded by Lonnie Pearson. Underneath the basket, Eric Stewart, and he draws the whistle. Believe that'll be on Luke Henney. And that will be Henney's 2nd as Kitsap leads by 5. Eric Stewart trying to do something about that. Not had the most sterling day from the charity stripe today. 3 for 5, now 4 for 6. And his 12th points of this game. Spins the ball twice. Lofts it in. Off the rim and out. Rebound by Henney. And here come the Admirals back. Up by 4. Ball squirts through the hands of Deshaun Newton and into the hands of Eric Nuncio. Now working their way down the floor quickly. Brian Evans with a stop and pop. Rebound by Lonnie Pearson, and Pearson kicks it over to Jeff Perkins. Perkins, a bit of a Euro step, but he's short on the shot. Rebound by Eric Stewart. Brandon Nichols, near side. Takes the shot, well short as well on that. Goodness gracious. And it's a replay of how this game began. Lonnie Pearson choosing to pass more than he is to shoot today. Pearson, beautiful feed by Henney down low. Pearson underneath the basket, and he draws the whistle. And that's Conwell's 3rd for San Antonio, and Lonnie Pearson heads back to the line. 2 for 2 today. And no good on his first. Well, at the half, Ashley Robinson was probably just happy that his team, as we said, only bringing 8 here to the Championship Series weekend, that his team just got a bit of a breather and a break. But quite honestly, even with the shorter bench, he has been substituting more and, dare say, possibly even more efficiently than the San Antonio Lions have. So a fresher set of legs, even though there are fewer of them, as Ben Conwell turns around. And an offensive charge on the Admirals and Jeff Perkins. And that is Perkins' 4th personal already in this game. And that's another byproduct of having a shorter bench and not having the depth. Well, as Eric Stewart launches a 3 from the left wing, no good and out of bounds. You start getting players in foul trouble, you start running out of bodies. Just 10 ticks under 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter. The feed to Deshaun Newton from Lonnie Pearson once again goes through his hands. And San Antonio's glad to take that unforced error. Brandon Nichols, far side. Another stop and pop in this wide right of the basket. Rebound by Luke Henney. And he finds the outlet to Pearson, who quickly finds Deshaun Newton. Deshaun Newton to Henney. Beautiful bounce pass down under, but he can't finish. Pearson ends up with it. That's slapped away by Eric Nuncio, and Nuncio now on the run. Spins across the timeline. Newton covering. Right side to Eric Stewart. Stewart, a beautiful move around Lonnie Pearson. Count the basket and the foul. Oh, my. What a spin to win by Eric Stewart. And now a shot at a three-point play. Stewart has slightly struggled from the line today, 4 for 6. But he hits that one. And more importantly, ties it up. 52-52. We'll see. They do count the basket. Fouled on his way in was Jeff Perkins. So one three-point opportunity deserves another. And Perkins, 3 for 4 today. No, 4 for 5. Lead back to 3, 55-52. 9:05 remains in the third quarter. NABL Championship Series semifinal game number 1. Eric Stewart, another spin, but traveling in the process as he collided underneath the basket with Deshaun Newton. It was a nice spin, but if you're going to do that, you got to pivot on one foot, right? Lonnie Pearson looking to score this time, not pass, and he's fouled on his way, and now all of a sudden the whistles are starting to blow. And Eric Nuncio is credited with his second personal as Lonnie Pearson finds his way back to the stripe and misses his first. So a stutter step start to this third quarter as a lot of fouls being called here in the early parts of the second half. Lonnie Pearson knocks down his second. 56-52, 4-point Kitsap lead, and a long pass by Eric Stewart well out of reach of Vince Reynosa, and the Lions cough up the ball. Well, the Admirals from Bremerton, Washington, which is just outside of the Seattle area. Bremerton, as head coach Ashley Robinson will say, small town but big dreams. Beautiful pick and interception in the air by Brandon Nichols, and he two-steps his way all the way right side, and all of a sudden the Lions come back to life. 56-54, ball swatted away again by the Lions. Brandon Nichols. Brian Evans underneath and in. Oh, Nelly. Well, that is how the Lions can easily get right back in this one, and with an opportunity to take the lead. Here at the line, Brian Evans. His first trip to the charity stripe today. And the Lions are back on top. 57-56. 8:15 remains in the third quarter. Marcus Whitaker down low to Deshaun Newton pivoting from that left foot to his right side. Whistles blow. And the only Lion in the vicinity. Now the whistle was away from the play, actually, and Vince Reynosa is credited with his third. Well, I'm a little interested as to why that was credited to Vince Reynosa as Deshaun Newton misses his first, because the only Lion that was around Deshaun Newton at the time was Eric Stewart. But nonetheless, Newton misses both of them. And as we approach the 8-minute mark, San Antonio up by a point. Vince Reynosa down low to Conwell. Luke Henney guarding. Conwell shoulders his way in and turns around for the jumper. San Antonio on one of their runs, 59-56 now. Deshaun Newton drives and slices his way through the humanity in the lane to find the bottom of the basket. 12 points in the contest for Newton. And we're back to a point differential. With the lead in the ball, San Antonio, Vince Reynosa. Screen set by Conwell. Reynosa finds a wide open Brandon Nichols. Baseline three, well off the mark, but there was Conwell to dish it in. And Conwell has come to life. 8 points in the game. 61-58 San Antonio. Marcus Whitaker. Down low, bounce pass to Luke Henney. Henney to his left side. Fade away Jay off the left side of the rim. No good. Rebound by Newton. Newton kicks it out all the way to Marcus Whitaker. 4-3 from the point, in and out, no good. Rebound by Conwell. And here comes, inside of a 7-minute mark, the San Antonio Lions. Screen set by Conwell. Eric Stewart could have taken a three there if he wanted to, and instead ends up carrying the ball. Second time he's done that in the game today. Well, sometimes you can snuff out your own hot streak. And a couple more of those, that'll be just exactly the case for San Antonio. 61-58 and a whistle from the official, and that is a clock adjustment. And it gives some fresh legs to come in for Kitsap, and Gabe Gibbs will supplant Luke Henney on the floor. 21 seconds on the shot clock, 6:44 on the game. Third quarter of action. Perkins inbounds. Nearly picked off by Vince Reynosa, but Deshaun Newton now jumped Reynosa. Underneath, beautiful feed to Lonnie Pearson, and Pearson loops it in with the hook shot. Back to a one-point game, 61-60 San Antonio. Eric Stewart. What a move from the left elbow, but cannot convert. And it ends up in the hands of Jeff Perkins. Perkins wants to take it coast to coast, collides with Stewart on the other end. And we'll see who gets the call on this. I believe San Antonio will pick it up, yes. Yeah, we can clearly see from the replay that those 2 feet of number 22 were not set. That is Eric Stewart's third personal. And a little bit of clarification on the floor. And a wet spot, actually, being remedied. So some literal mop-up duty already here with 6:17 remaining in the third quarter. A reminder that game number 2 of this NABL Championship Series semifinal will take place just about 15 minutes after the conclusion of this game between the Lions and the Admirals, as the Atlanta show, the reigning NABL champions, will try to defend their title and move on for another shot at repeating. And they will do that against the Huntsville Force that has the only win against Atlanta in the show's franchise history. My many thanks to David Kessler, head coach of the show, and Justin Billings, head coach of the Huntsville Force, for stopping by here at halftime. 3 p.m. scheduled starts, and it looks like that's going to be delayed a little bit as Jeff Perkins makes his first. That was the 5th team foul for the San Antonio Lions. So the Admirals now living in the bonus, and we're all knotted up at 61 apiece. Admirals trying to go back up on top. And they do. 6:15 remains in the third quarter. Brian Evans takes it across the center stripe. Screen sent by Vince Reynosa. It opens him up for a 3, but not enough. Brian Evans loops it down low. Ben Conwell turns around and Deshaun Newton will pick up his first personal of the game and send Ben Conwell to the line. Conwell's first trip to the charity stripe today. And lofts it in. Well, San Antonio has made a massive effort in the course of their first season and into this, their second season as a franchise, to step up team defense, which is where they were greatly lacking. As a beautiful feed once again from Newton to Pearson. And this one does connect. And Lonnie Pearson, the newcomer of the year, has a dozen. And a whistle on Kitsap. Mike Ward's second. And an official's timeout on the floor. That'll freeze the clock with 5:44 remaining to go in the third quarter. And it's a tight one here. 1-point contest as the Admirals lead the Lions 64-63. Back here in a moment. Don't go anywhere on the NABL network. (64-63) back here. The Admirals lead the Lions with 5:44 remaining in the third quarter, and some free throws to shoot for the San Antonio Lions. As both teams are now, for the duration of the third quarter, in the bonus. And Vince Reynosa, who has not scored a point so far in this game, trying to do his first. He does with ease. And Vince Reynosa, founder of the San Antonio Lions. Knocks them both. San Antonio back on top. 65-64 Lions. Gibbs down low and a kicked ball out of bounds. Ben Conwell, who eagerly retrieves it for the NABL officials. Once again, your NABL officials today, part of the NABL Officials Union. Don Hudson, Tommy Paris, and Archie Whaley. Pearson inbounds to Gibbs. Gibbs, who had a stellar first half, 14 points, but an errant pass out of bounds, and the Lions will reap the fortunes. Eric Stewart takes it across the timeline. Three-time player of the week this season in the NABL and a finalist for the MVP. Beautiful move, but an even more beautiful block, and then a collision. The stuff by Mike Ward after the nifty little shimmy and shake by Brandon Nichols. And then Lonnie Pearson and Nichols get tied up, and that'll send Pearson to the line. And with 5:12 remaining, where we didn't see too many whistles, and neither team reached the bonus until late into the first half. Well, here with 5:12 remaining in the third quarter, we got some free throw shooting coming our way, ladies and gentlemen. And just ask David Kessler or the San Antonio Lions' Eric Stewart, free throws can mean all the difference on whether you make it to the next round or not. Checking in for the Lions, Keith Benford, and Brandon Nichols will take a seat. Nichols with 2 personal fouls. And in and out, no good on his second. Rebound by Conwell. Brian Evans will take it up the floor. 5:05 remaining in the third quarter. Evans for 3 off the right side of the rim. Karim's off and into the hands of Lonnie Pearson on the rebound. Knotted up at 65. Pearson to Newton. Newton for 3, ripping the cords from long range. Newton has 15. 68-65 Admirals. Eric Stewart bounce pass. Dangerous pass to Brian Evans. And Brian Evans, boy, that's a patented move if I've ever seen one here in the NABL. That is just a beautiful runner off the backboard. He did that about 23 times in the victory over the DFW United. But not to be outdone, coming back the other way, Deshaun Newton using the glass. Back to a 3-point Admirals lead. Stop and pop. Brian Evans off the front of the iron, no good. Lonnie Pearson, two-handed long pass to Newton. That one, I believe Brian Evans got a little hand on it. Somehow he got his own rebound, and it ends up eventually into the hands of the San Antonio Lions. Eric Stewart kicks it out. From the corner, Benford, good for 3. Tied up again with 3:40 remaining in the third, 70 all. Lonnie Pearson, one-on-one with Benford. Kicks it out to the right side to Newton. Way long on that three-pointer. Vince Reynoso on the rebound. Reynoso will take it and run the point. Now bounces it to Eric Stewart. Stewart tries to drive the lane and whistles blow. Mike Ward's third personal of Kitsap. And back to the free throw line, Eric Stewart. Well, last year it was against the Austin Knights that the San Antonio Lions fell in an overtime game. And Eric Stewart had the opportunity late, and I don't bring this up to give any Lions fans grief. Stu will bring it up himself. He spent all offseason thinking about those free throws that he missed in the final moments. They could have been the difference maker as he misses his second right there. Big effort, not just from working on the fundamentals of free throws in the offseason, but his overall game. Lonnie Pearson with a pull-up J, no good. 71-70, San Antonio. Ball loose on the floor and a timeout taken by Eric Stewart. And that's a wise move as San Antonio will freeze things at 3:07 left to go in the third quarter, leading by 1 and with the ball. Timeout on the floor, and we will do the same too. Back here in a moment to Atlanta, Georgia. 71-70, San Antonio leads Kitsap here in game number 1 of the NABL Championship Series semifinal at NABLbasketball.com. And the Lions just inbounded. Bryant Evans taking it. Kicks it out to Keith Benford. And Lonnie Pearson trying to make things okay with it. Unintentional, but still third personal. Charge to Lonnie Pearson. And as we said, yeah, we're in the bonus. So for 3 more minutes here in the third quarter, expect the free throw line to be highly populated. Keith Benford good on his first. He has 7 in the game. And limited minutes off the bench, no less. In and out. 72-70, San Antonio. San Antonio went out to nearly a double-digit lead in the second quarter of action, but fighting their way back just before halftime was the Admirals to take the lead. San Antonio has since battled back, and in this seesaw game between the two, who have never met on the court before, it is tightly contested here. And that is Jeff Perkins, by my unofficial count, 5th personal. So we'll keep an eye on that situation as Ben Conwell misses his first. But no substitutions for Ashley Robinson and the Admirals. Instead, the Lions substituting, and Eric Nuncio comes in. Benford good on his second. Extends the lead to 3 for the Lions. 2:22 remaining. Through the hands of Newton and into the arms of Nuncio. Left wing, bounce pass down low, turnaround Jay for Bryant Evans, no good. Tipped out by Newton, collected by Pearson, and he moves it down to Perkins. Perkins off the square and in.
Two minutes remaining.
And Ben Conwell earns the whistle. Gabe Gibbs, second personal of the game. And that puts the big man, Ben Conwell, 6'8", back to the line. The veteran out of Hill College, located appropriately in the Texas Hill Country. Conwell knocks down his first. Vince Reynoso will go to the bench for the Lions, and back in is Josh Simmons, 6-foot guard, with 1 left to shoot. And for the Admirals, Dejon Newton will take a breather. Marcus Whitaker comes back on the floor for Kitsap. In and out, no good for Conwell. 74-72. Lions lead by a bucket. Now we're all knotted up once again. Marcus Whitaker has 8. 90 seconds remain in the third. Left side of the lane, Eric Stewart's fouled on his way to the basket. And we'll have to get a count from the scorer's table on exactly how many Jeff Perkins is playing with, because he is dangerously close. Meanwhile, Eric Stewart misses his first. And getting a clarification now that that is Perkins' 5th. So 1 more and Jeff Perkins will be gone from the game. Eric Stewart good on his second. 76-73 San Antonio. Kitsap, Lonnie Pearson Left side of the lane, kicks it out, and that's knocked away and stolen by Brian Evans. One-handed jam the other way on the fast break. As the Lions trying to run away from this one. For three off the left side of the rim. Jeff Perkins, no good. Rebound San Antonio. They're having a hard time getting across the stripe. They do. Eric Nuncio behind the back, no look pass to a wide open Eric Stewart. And he knew that was going to fall. Timeout on the floor. And that was a three-pointer as you look at the one-handed jam on the fast break by Brian Evans. And the beautiful no-look feed by Nuncio. Eric Stewart, 4-3. As they reset the shot clock. 7-point advantage now for San Antonio. Kitsap's went through a dry spell recently and also coughed up the ball. Gibbs, and that's stuffed by Conwell. And San Antonio showing the D. Bounced off the foot and out of bounds of Josh Simmons, so Kitsap will retain possession and get a fresh shot clock, I believe. As one of the NABL officials going over to the scorer's table. Yes, okay. 40.4 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Kitsap with the ball, trailing by 7. Jeff Perkins tries to feed it to Lonnie Anderson, but nothing but Lions were there. And a foul in transition. And Jeff Perkins, I believe, has just earned his final. And a technical has just been charged on Kitsap. As head coach Ashley Robinson gets a little bit of clarification. Meanwhile, happily lining up to the free throw line to shoot the technical is Eric Nuncio. That falls through. And now shooting the free throws on the penalty. As Perkins stays in. I am not the official scorer. I will just tell everybody that at this point right now. So Eric Stewart now takes his free throws. Off the rim and in. Stewart having a monster quarter. 12 points in this quarter. 23 so far in the game. And trying to extend the lead. And does to 10 now. Largest lead of the game by either side. And it benefits San Antonio with 25 ticks remaining until the final period of regulation. Right side of the lane, Mike Ward, that is knocked away. San Antonio's defense has come to play, and of course the offense is always present. Nuncio trying to find somewhere to go, and somehow that finds Eric Stewart. Well, sometimes things are just working your way. Brian Evans shot on the three-pointer. Rebound by Jeff Perkins, a collision on the rebound, whistles blow. As Mike Ward is charged as personal. Third personal for Ward. And that leaves 1.4 seconds remaining in what has been a long third quarter of action. But a very successful one for San Antonio. Could we be seeing the Kitsap Admirals being a little winded at this point? Short bench, as we said, only 8 traveled. As Perkins sinks it. And good on both. 1.4 seconds. Turnaround jumper. This would not have counted, and that's how the third quarter ends. 8-point difference, but San Antonio goes into the fourth up 84-76. We'll be back for the start of the fourth quarter after this at NABLbasketball.com on the NABL network. Start of the fourth quarter of action in this game number one of our semifinal Saturday for the NABL Championship Series. San Antonio Lions lead the Kitsap Admirals 84-76. It's been a back and forth game, and the largest lead of the game was just experienced, 10 points by San Antonio just moments ago. After one quarter, it was 23-17 San Antonio. Then Kitsap comes back to lead going into the half, 49-46. And here we are, the final frame of regulation. Kitsap with the ball and needing to score some points and get some things started. Leading scorers for the Admirals, 18 points for Jeff Perkins, 17 for Deshaun Newton, 13 for Lonnie Pearson. That ball nearly batted away by Eric Stewart's, but converted by Kitsap. 84-78. Eric Stewart at the point. Jacks up a three, straight away, and knocks it down. And oh, if the Lions get hot from downtown, watch out. That is what they lived and died by early in the season and all of last year. Trying to answer, no, it won't fall for Marcus Whitaker and the Kitsap Admirals. But good transition defense, and it comes away. Stepping away, Gabe Gibbs, right side of the lane. That doesn't fall. San Antonio running back the other way, and a third time that has happened, and under and over by Eric Stewart. Goodness. So coughing that up. And another turnover just inside 11 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. 87-78. San Antonio in a collision away from the play on the screen, actually, that was being set by Michon Lewis. That's his first, as Luke Henney went sideways after that. First team foul of the quarter for San Antonio. And Perkins will look to inbound. He does to Ward. Josh Simmons defending. Screen set by Henney. Ward drives left side, finds an opening, and lays it in off the square. That is the first bucket of the game for Mike Ward, and it's a big one. Trims the lead to 7. 10.5 remains in the fourth. Eric Stewart draws the double team. Finds a wide open Missouri Lewis, and over the back is Mike Ward, who had really nowhere to go. And the shot clock is reset. 14 seconds put on the shot clock. San Antonio ball. Inbound to Eric Nuncio. Nuncio right wing. Goes to Eric Stewart at the point. Down low underneath, and another whistle blown on Mike Ward. Second team foul of the quarter. And that will do it for Mike Ward. 6 fouls in the game as Mike Ward has fouled out. Coming in off the bench is Deshaun Newton. who started the game at point guard. And Ashley Robinson starting to, with Jeff Perkins in dire foul trouble. He only has one to give. Starting to run out of bodies. Floater of a shot to beat the shot clock by Eric Nuncio doesn't fall. Rebound by Marcus Whitaker, and Whitaker will take it across the stripe. Luke Kinney, right wing, back to Whitaker. Bounce pass down low. Gabe Gibbs elbows his way in, off the square and in. Beautiful move by Gibbs. And Kitsap continues digging into this San Antonio lead, 87-82. But there's Eric Stewart, finger rolls it in. What grace, and what a game by Stewart. Coming back on a fast break, quickly the other way, around and down. A swirling shot from Jeff Perkins falls. 20 points of the game for Perkins. 89-84 Lions. Stop and pop, that falls, and all of a sudden it's raining buckets here in Atlanta, Georgia for both teams. 91-84 San Antonio. Ball gets away from Gabe Gibbs and tied up on the floor. Well, watch this play on your screen there. Beautiful move off the glass. That's how you use the backboard by Gabe Gibbs. And then the other way coming back is Josh Simmons. Pardon me, that's Eric Stewart. And Jeff Perkins. And that ball just, you know, those things you see in the mall where you drop a penny down and it swirls forever? Yeah, that's pretty much how the NABL basketball acted on that goal. 9:03 with the clock frozen, left to go in the fourth quarter. 7-point San Antonio lead. The Western Conference champions taking on the West Coast Conference champions. And Brandon Nichols got his hand on it, but it went straight to Luke Kinney. Kitsap now driving right side of the lane. Gabe Gibbs doesn't get the shot, but he gets the whistle. And Brian Evans, fourth personal. So Gibbs will go to the line to shoot two. 8:55 remaining in the fourth quarter. And Kitsap needs points any which way they can find them right now. And that's not going to cut it. Short on the shot by Gibbs, who is 2 for 4, now 2 for 5 from the charity stripe today. Gibbs does convert on that one. 92-84. And the travel by Brandon Nichols as he runs over Deshaun Newton. The Atlanta Show and the Huntsville Force patiently awaiting their turn on this court. Game number 2 of our NABL Championship Series Saturday semifinal. Winner goes on to compete in the finals championship game tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern tip-off time. Perkins can't get the shot to fall. Rebound Eric Stewart, 8:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. From beyond the arc, Brian Evans can't sink it. Gabe Gibbs with the rebound, and he'll take it across the timeline himself. And a beautiful give and go. Hello, Deshaun Newton, 19 points this afternoon. And look at that, back within a 4-point game. Inside of 8 left to go in the final quarter of regulation. Brian Evans all alone, but he doesn't take the 3 opportunity. Instead, bounces it out to Eric Stewart. He wants to drive in, but draws a triple team. That ball swatted away, goes to Eric Nuncio, takes the shot to beat the buzzer, can't make it fall off the back iron, and rebound by the Kitsap Admirals. Newton floats it down low to Gibbs. That ball swatted away by Eric Stewart and out of bounds. Well, you have to commend both clubs, regardless of the outcome. These two squads traveling further than either, of course, Atlanta or Huntsville. Luke Kinney lofts up a long-range shot, that inside the arc for 2. And within a possession, 91-89 San Antonio. This has been a measured game. Losing his footing, Brandon Nichols kicks it back out, saving that possession. With 9 seconds left to go on the shot clock, Eric Stewart turns around in the paint. Can't get it to fall, but Lewis underneath gets the rebound and the foul. And that is charged to Luke Kinney, his third personal. Stops the clock with 6:52 left to go in the fourth. Fresh legs awaiting the Lions on the next opportunity for sub. And Lewis knocks it down. Lonnie Pearson back into the game for Kitsap. Luke Kinney will sit down. And Lewis, good on both. And at this point down the stretch, free throws and points are at a premium. So you got to make them. Colliding with just about everybody in his way and drawing the offensive charge was Gabe Gibbs. Third personal for Gibbs, who has 17 points in the afternoon. Well, a conference between the trio of Don Hudson, Tommy Paris, and Archie Whaley have changed the narrative of that whistle and call, and no longer is that on Gibbs, but instead he will shoot two from the line. Let's take another look at that on your screen. There's Gibbs driving as he makes his first free throw. Collides with Eric Nuncio. Well, one can say that Nuncio's feet weren't necessarily set, perhaps. Either way, they have the whistles. I do not. And San Antonio has the lead, 93-91, after Gibbs makes both. Nuncio can't make it fall on the basket. It goes off the foot of Gibbs, who was standing out of bounds to begin with. And resetting the shot clock to 14 left to go. 6:31 remains in the fourth quarter. San Antonio inbounding from the baseline, left of their basket. Finds Eric Stewart. Brandon Nichols, who shoulders his way in and travels in the process. And gives the ball right back to Kitsap, who trails by a bucket. Still a lot of basketball left to be played in the regulation 4, but I wouldn't be surprised with the way this one's gone that we may be looking at extra. Lonnie Pearson from the left elbow dishes it to Newton, left side. Newton loses the handle for a minute, picks it back up, gives it to Gibbs. Works it around. Long shot by Marcus Whitaker, and that is short off the front of the rim and out of bounds. To be retrieved by Eric Stewart and the Lions. 6:06 left to go in the fourth. Ken Buckner courtside with you in this game number 1 as a wet spot will be tended to. A reminder that Atlanta Show and the Huntsville Force, as David Kessler, the head coach of the show, put it, yes, as they say in baseball, the rubber match. As each of the teams have won on the other's home court throughout the season. And Huntsville trying to win their 11th straight. 6 minutes exactly left to go in the fourth quarter. Eric Stewart. Right side, Brian Evans. Screen set by Conwell. Evans backs out. Lonnie Pearson defending. Down low to Conwell. Wanted to find somebody in the paint. Nobody there. Instead spins and hooks it off the board. Ben Conwell with 13 points in this one. Newton, left side to Whitaker. Whitaker finds Perkins. Perkins down low underneath to Gabe Gibbs, and Gibbs finishes that. Cavalcade of passing by Kitsap. For three, Eric Stewart. That's clutch. And it extends the lead to 5, 98-93. 5:15 remaining in the fourth for the San Antonio Lions. Slicing his way through, but he can't finish his Newton. Perkins got the rebound, hands it back to Newton to finish the job this time around. And 21 points for Deshaun Newton. Inside of 5 minutes left to go in the fourth. 98-95. San Antonio with the lead in the ball. Brian Evans, left side, but runs into a duo of Admirals. Bounce pass to Perkins and in on the fast break. Well, for two teams that have never seen each other play before, never faced each other mano a mano on the court, this couldn't be a more even matched game throughout. Two completely different styles, getting it done in two completely different ways with the same result at this point. And Eric Stewart's, off the collision of Gabe Gibbs, heads to the line. And that is Gibbs' fourth foul of the game. And with that, the clock stops with 4:17 left to go in the fourth quarter. In a one-point game, San Antonio leads 98-97 over Kitsap. Back here in a moment to finish this thing out here on the NABL Network. San Antonio ball with 4:17 remaining in the fourth quarter to go. And the Lions lead by a point, 98-97 over the Admirals. Nuncio, right side, right wing, Eric Stewart wants to drive, does, now has to back out. Good defense by the Kitsap Admirals and Gabe Gibbs. Underneath the basket and it falls, count it. Lonnie Pearson whistled for the foul, his fourth personal. And Ben Conwell spinning around Kareem-like, but using the backboard in the process. Sinks it. Conwell back at the line where he has spent a majority of the fourth quarter. Conwell sinks it for the three-point play, and that's huge. We've cracked the century mark. 101-97, San Antonio. Inside of 4 left to go in the fourth. Long range for 3 and fouled in the process. Eric Stewart's whistled. And that'll send Jeff Perkins to the line, I believe, to shoot 3, yes. And in a 4-point game, these are vital. Perkins, who tosses it up just like it ain't no thing. Sinks his first with 2 remaining to shoot. Oh, and in and out. Neither team in the bonus yet. Misses his third. So a golden opportunity slips through the Admirals' hands. 3:40 remains in the fourth. 3-point game. Eric Stewart, a late whistle, as Lonnie Pearson has just earned what I have as his fifth. And that now does put both teams in the bonus, yes. So Ben Conwell, who else? Back to the line. Who is 5 for 6, now 6 for 7 from the stripe. And extends the San Antonio lead to 4. Now 5 as the San Antonio contingent certainly making themselves known here all the way in Atlanta, Georgia. 3.5 left to go in the fourth. Ball squirts away from Gibbs. He picks it back up, still kind of loose on the floor. An illegal defense called on San Antonio. 3 seconds in the key. So that will force a technical, and that'll be shot by Gabe Gibbs. Oh, pardon me, Deshaun Newton. I saw the 2, I didn't see the 8. And Newton is good on the technical, and more important than that, in a 4-point game, it's an extra possession for Kitsap. And head coach of the Lions, T.C. Caviel, is still having some words to say about that particular call. Newton near side, hands it to Whitaker. Whitaker looking to go down low. Instead, he jacks up from the left wing, air ball. And the ball goes out of bounds. Matador style as Eric Stewart lifted his hands away. 3:04 left to go in the fourth quarter. 4-point Lions lead. Nuncio, right wing to Brian Evans. Evans back to Nuncio. Nuncio drives baseline, has an open look. Instead dishes it to Conwell, and Conwell finishes the deal. Ben Conwell coming up big here in the second half. 2:44 remains in the fourth quarter. Now a 6-point Lions lead. Henney dishes it to Whitaker for 3. And the Kitsap Admirals whistled for the foul on the rebound. And Deshaun Newton, that's only his second personal, collided with Eric Nuncio. And that puts Nuncio at the line. Two for 3 from the free throw line today, and a timeout taken on the floor. 2:35 remains in the fourth quarter here in the NABL Championship Series in its second season, the North American Basketball League. At this time tomorrow, we'll be well on our way to crowning who will be the eventual 2017 champion of the North American Basketball League. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It's been a great game so far with standout performances from Eric Stewart right there for the San Antonio Lions. Had a slow start to the game, but quickly picked it back up. Jeff Perkins so far has 25 in the contest. It's rained from down deep for both clubs. And to be honest with you, the San Antonio Lions, who are massively outsized in this contest. As we said going into this in the pregame show, for Kitsap, their shortest player is 6'2". The tallest player for San Antonio is Ben Conwell, 6'8". But San Antonio, as they have all season long, playing larger than they are, and very well with a 6-point lead, trying to extend it from the line with Eric Nuncio. Looking at a shot and a spot at the NABL Finals. Nuncio's first shot, well short. And he turns around with a bit of a grin, or maybe a grimace, depending. There you see on your screen the head coach of the San Antonio Lions, TC Caviel, and he was sitting right next to Vince Reynosa, the founder of the Lions. Nuncio good on his second shot, extends the lead to 7. 2.5 remains in the fourth quarter. The Admirals, beautiful spin underneath and a hard foul on Newton. As Ben Conwell earns his fourth and sends Newton to the line. Beautiful spin, had an open look until all 6'8" Big Ben comes at you. Stops the clock with 2:25 remaining in the fourth quarter. And Newton knocks it down. Newton 6 for 8 from the free throw line today. Misses that one. And rebound by San Antonio. 106-100. 2:20 left to go in the fourth. Brian Evans somehow just going around in circles and finger rolls it in. Oh my goodness. 19 points for Brian Evans and a whistle as Evans got a hand on the inbound, but his foot was on the baseline. So 2:10 left to go, as the clock should have restarted, but did not. 108-100. I see the Huntsville Force waiting in the wings, and the Atlanta Show have made their way in as well. Getting ready for game number 2 of the semifinal. The Atlanta Show are going to be wearing their bright yellow jerseys as the home team today. Marcus Whitaker, long three. That's a Russell Westbrook type foul right there. Jack the shot. No, you're going to get the foul from long range. And Brian Evans has earned his 5th. So shooting 3 from the line, Marcus Whitaker. It's not that the Admirals aren't getting their chances and opportunities to claw their way back into this one. But from the free throw line, point made right there, they're having a hard time capitalizing. And all Ashley Robinson can do right now is wait. 2:01 remains as Whitaker makes his second. Trims the lead to 7. And good on his third.
2 minutes remaining in regulation.
Inside of 2 left to go in the final frame. 108-102. Beautiful spin move by Eric Nuncio. Dishes out to Conwell. And there he is, gliding his way yet again, taking it over as he did 2 weeks ago in the Western Conference Final is Brian Evans. 1:36 remains in the fourth quarter. 8-point lead for the Lions. Kitsap for 3. Newton knocks this one down. That's a big bucket. And a collision on the floor by the timeline. Watch this. Brian Evans just as if air was underneath him. And then the clutch three-pointer from Newton. And we are sitting at a 110, a 105 differential with Brian Evans after that collision at center court. Sinking his first of 2. Drives the San Antonio lead to 6. Now 7. Lonnie Pearson on the bench right now for Kitsap. And that picked off right into the breadbasket of Eric Stewart, who looks for some sort of help and can't find it. Finally finds Eric Nuncio, and they just want to burn some time off of this. Beautiful behind the back pass to Brandon Nichols, and that's stuffed in Knocked away by Luke Kinney, eventually batted out of bounds. Last touch by Jeff Perkins of the Admirals, so San Antonio will keep possession and a timeout on the floor. We will step aside one final time here in regulation and be back for the conclusion of the fourth quarter. However it may end up, 104 remains, 112-105. San Antonio trying to punch their way into the finals. Back after this on the NABL network. Quite a game number one of this doubleheader. 112-105. San Antonio leads Kitsap with 104 remaining in the fourth quarter. Ben Conwell has been huge in this second half. And Brian Evans, what can you say? Looking to inbound, left underneath the base, underneath the baskets. Inbounded to Brandon Nichols, but tipped and tapped away by Gabe Gibbs. Inbound again. 1 minute left to go. Ben Conwell finds some open real estate, floats it in, and the foul. Conwell has been just money in the third and fourth quarter. And getting to the line and capitalizing once he's there. "13 points alone in the fourth quarter, 24 in the game so far. And the clock will be reset by the NABL officiating crew. Well, 10 points. We've certainly seen stranger things happen this season alone in the NABL. In fact, with 57 seconds left, we've seen larger deficits overcome in the waning moments of games. Does Kitsap have it? Can they do it? This would be, by all things considered, an upset for San Antonio to defeat the Kitsap Admirals, one of the preseason favorites. But San Antonio has just been defying everybody this year, including myself, who's picked against them. Henny, that's picked up by Eric Stewart. Oh, and you can see it in the Admirals' faces. They may know that time is truly running out. Eric Stewart to Ben Conwell, who stuffs himself. There's Luke Kinney, and Conwell finishes the deal. 26 points for Ben Conwell. And the clock stops at 32.5 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. But at 117-105, San Antonio, with grins on their faces, starting to see themselves playing on Sunday. Who will they play? Well, it's not quite done yet, as Gabe Gibbs misses his first, makes his second. 31.9 seconds remain in the fourth, and Brian Evans is fouled. And that is Gibbs' fifth foul, yes. Leaves 30.8 seconds left to go. 11-point San Antonio lead. Well, facing a team full of bigs, which is the Admirals, San Antonio's one big, Ben Conwell, has made every single minute count. And so is that guy, Brian Evans, who comes up big yet again in a championship game. Making both. and 28 points so far for Brian Evans. Ball gets away from the Admirals. Showtime. Oh, Brandon Nichols can't convert it. And it hits the underside of the backboard, and that'll cough things up. Shot clock is dead. 13-point San Antonio lead with 19.5 seconds remaining. And now it's all academic from this point. The three no good. 13, 12, 11, 10 seconds to San Antonio's first trip to the NABL Finals. The celebration begins. Your final today, 119-106. The San Antonio Lions defeat the Kitsap Admirals to head into the NABL Championship game. And we now welcome you to the NABL Championship Series semifinal post-game show. We will take a brief timeout and be back right after this.